Alright, so I'm going to show you how to make the face mask. So first you want to prep your material and in your pattern. I've included the link for the pattern that I used in the description box. So I'm just going to cut, and for the print that you're going to use on the front, you're going to add an extra inch, which you see me cutting like an extra inch on the end of the pattern, and you're going to see why like later on why I do that. So you're just going to continue to just cut around the pattern. You could use pins to make your life easier. I didn't get any pins at the time. And then this is going to be your lining fabric, whatever you choose. If you want it to be reversible, that would be cool too. So you just do the same thing. You cut exactly around the pattern. You're not going to add the inch like I did on the fabric that you'll see on the front of your mask. So after you cut out the pieces, you'll notice that the lining fabric is going to be a little bit smaller than the facing of the fabric, the front facing fabric. So we're just gonna move along to the sewing machine, and here we're just gonna stitch a 1/4 inch away from the edge on both pieces, the lining and the fabric that we're using, and make sure that the right side of the fabrics are facing each other. And here we're just gonna do a few snips along the curve because it allows it to be a little more flexible so it can lay flat. And you're gonna do that to both the lining and the fabric. So here we're just gonna pin the front to the back of the fabric and make sure that the right side of the fabric is pinned together, and just sew a 1/4 of an inch from the edge. And after we're finished sewing, we're just gonna turn it inside out, and that's when we're get to see how it's gonna look partially before we complete it. So just kind of pull it apart from each other because we need to press it so it can lay flat. So here I'm just pressing along the seam so that it can lay flat because I'm gonna add a top stitch to it just so that when I wash it, it'll still keep its form. So now it's time to add the top stitch to the mask, which is gonna be a 1/4 of an inch away from the edge. And we're gonna do the top stitch on the top of the mask and on the bottom of the mask. So now this is the part where you'll see why I added the extra fabric. We're just gonna fold it over 2 times and do a little top stitch on top. And this is basically gonna be the casing for the elastic we're gonna add for around the ears. Again, if you have pins, of course it would be easier to just pin it down as you're folding it, but for this quick tutorial, I'm just folding it and stitching it. Now it's going to be time to add the elastic, and you can use whatever elastic you have. I cut it about 6.5 inches, and I used the loop turner to pull it through, but you can also use a safety pin if that's what you have. So here I'm just gonna sew it 1/4 of an inch from the edge. Basically, I just use the back tack button to just go back and forth over it until I feel like it's secure. And after you're finished sewing it together, you're just going to pull it through the casing a little bit so that the seam of the elastic just doesn't show.